The censuses in general offer one of the most important resources to a genealogist. We find information about individuals, we find family groupings, ages of the individuals, where they were born. At the time that the 1940 census was taken, of course, the United States had was coming out of a Great Depression and was on really the edge of going into World War II. So it was a very tumultuous time. Some of the unique things that were asked on the 1940 census, number one was, what was your residence 5 years ago on April 1st, 1935? Usually we don't get the opportunity to take a look 5 years back unless we take a look at state censuses and so forth. So this gives you a bonus of having the location of an individual in 1935 and 40 if you're going to track them. They probably did this to see what the displacement was of families and individuals during the Dust Bowl, the Depression area. Some of the other questions that they ask that are really related to FDR's New Deal programs were if you were employed by a private company or if you had emergency work, relief work that was provided by one of three of these New Deal programs. The final question on the 1940 census regular form was, what was your income in 1939? In past censuses, they generally didn't ask that. They may have asked how much your house rent was or how much you paid for your house, but this is the first time asking what your annual income was. Two individuals off of each page on two specific lines were selected to have supplemental questions asked of them. Some of these were, where were your parents born? They also asked, do you have a Social Security number? Of course, one of the New Deal items was Social Security. It was getting off the ground in the late 30s. Social Security number, and were you contributing to a Social Security pension program? In addition, they also asked if you were contributing to a railroad retirement. Those were the only two major pension funds in America at that time. For women, they asked if they had been married more than once, how many children that they have had in the past. So you get some insight into that where maybe you wouldn't on the regular form. The 1940 census is the first census that is being released only in a digital format by the National Archives. In the past, it's been released on microfilm. You had to go to the National Archives regional branch nearest you to review the film until it was scanned and digitized by the companies Ancestry.com and Heritage Quest, where we see it today. Because it is being released in digital format, the National Archives has set up a special website to access the digital images of this census. It can be reached by going to 1940census.archives.gov, and then it will redirect you to the site where all of that information is located. It will later be scanned and digitized by Ancestry.com, in addition to other organizations where volunteers will be indexing it from the initial release. All the other previous censuses from 1880 to 1920 had all of the states indexed by a government agency. 1930 had a partial indexing of the southern states only. This particular census will not be indexed, which means that researchers are going to have to do their homework ahead of time and find out where the individuals are looking for were actually living at that time. Once they find out where they were living, they can go to a special website that's been set up by Steve Morse. It's called stevemorse.org, and they can find the enumeration district that they need to look in for the 1940 census to pinpoint the area that their ancestors lived in. The release of the 1940 census is exciting, especially for people brand new to doing genealogy, because The U.S. Census is one of the most useful resources in tracking your family. You start with the present and work your way back. So if you're just starting genealogy now, this gives you the most recent census. Some of the people I know don't have the luxury of a wonderful oral family tradition like I've had, where many stories and artifacts have been passed down, so they may be struggling even to find out where their family is in 1940. For those of us that have been doing genealogy for quite some time, it kind of wraps up many years of research and puts the most recent census into what the family was doing in 1940, and may allow some of us, like me, to actually finish some of the family history manuscripts that I've been working on for many years.